especially when it comes to women's biographies. And in turn, this characterizes the content on the various wiki projects and reproduces old structures. The gender gap on Wikipedia is more a reflection of social conditions, not the cause of them. So there's often a reason as to why no one has written about these women before. And sometimes that's because there's hard to find good and reliable sources that are readily available. And this is often the case with women who have been forgotten and overlooked by the history books. And when the time comes to give them the recognition they deserve in the form of an article, it's frustrating to feel that you fall short because there's little or no information that you have access to, and especially for newcomers. I usually ask the participant to the courses I hold to decide somewhat on what they want to write about and to bring the sources they need for an article. That is sometimes a lot to ask for someone who has little or no experience editing on Wikipedia. It can be hard to know what counts as reliable sources and also to know where to find them. And that is what I wanted to pick your brains for today and try to draw on your experiences. Whether you are holding or attending courses, or editing yourself, or you're teaching your friends to edit on Wikipedia, or whether you are editing by yourself. I have 3 questions, and the first one I want to ask you is, what are your strategy for when you or the people you're teaching to edit get stuck because there's no access to good sources? Do you have any tips or tricks or useful repositories? Yeah. So, is there anybody here who has some tips? Yeah.
Newspaper archives are things you usually don't find when you just Google. But if you then specifically go to the newspaper archive itself, you can find quite good content as that, you know, is a secondary source.
Yeah, and that's a very good point because a lot of people think, you know, if it's not in the Google search list, it doesn't exist. But it does, but that was news to me until 3 years ago, so yeah. Thank you.
I think one of the most useful recommendations of a professor of mine was when she just handed out her list of where she actually goes when she searches for information. Because there were so many like microsites I've never seen before.
What is micros?
They're just microsites, like really small websites
that I
don't know, that I've never known before. And I think that's something like, where do you go when you search for something? Like my go-to sites are, for example, Europeana, just because nobody knows about Europeana in my experience.
I don't know what it is. What is it?
Europeana is the, oh wow, just listen
Wow.
everyone! Europeana is the EU's initiative for digital cultural heritage, and it collects museums' data and objects from all over Europe, so every museum in Europe can take part. And although the website can be frustrating, it's a great resource.
Thank you.
Yeah, I found 10 days ago, searching on Google, the most important cities sites when you can download your ebook. 3 sites when you can download all these ebooks about women, about everything you want without registration. So I will share with you, all the people around here, these 3 sites that can be used for as sources, because our ebooks that if you need to buy them cost a lot of things, a lot of money, because our encyclopedias, dictionaries, and a lot of.
Yeah, and that's a good point, especially when it costs money.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time people are confused about, can you use articles that are behind paywalls as a source for your article? I usually say preferably not, but if it's only there, then it's only there. And I was wondering, what do you do if it's behind a paywall? Yeah.
Just in reference to what you're saying about paywalls, I'll give you an example of what we do. From Makerere University in Uganda, we don't have a partnership with the main library, but we have partnerships with the college libraries, and we have a specific partnership with the School of Women and Gender Studies. So if we say we're going to have an editathon, there are only some repositories that you can access from specific libraries. So that is where we go to, for example, during Wikigap and for campaigns during Wiki Loves Women. The libraries can offer us access or a guest member access to that during the period that we may have asked or during the time they may have specified. Another thing that we do for the editathons, where time allows, let's say it's a month-long campaign, you could have a pre-event where you educate people on these are allowed resources, and then normally one of us, a member of us, goes and curates a list of recommended resources. So during the editathon, you can use the list of recommended resources, but because this is long-term, out of the editathon, when you're doing your own private research, then you can look elsewhere. But for now, this is what we can provide you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I believe that a part of the solution to getting access to good sources and material is collaboration between Wikimedia affiliations and other institutions like galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. And different educational institutions. And that is the reasoning behind my last two questions, which is, what are your experience with collaborative projects between Wikimedia affiliations or chapters and other institutions? Does anybody have any experience from, for example, a GLAM Wiki initiative? Yeah?
In Denmark, we have a collaboration with, GLAM. Somebody who's on Europeana, Amarita Sanderhoff, if you know her, by any chance. But this is excellent. She even got an award last year, the first Open Data Digital something award. It was a nice award. But it's once a month thing. It's like our only real in real life active meetup in Copenhagen area, and well, in Denmark actually. And it's once a month, changing between the institutions, the National Art Museum, the Danish Film Institute, some other art institutes and stuff like that. And it's 2 hours every the last Friday in the month from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. And topic is about anything. It might be just about getting certain painters up and how do you deal with it, and then things about disputes. Maybe there was a painter born in the 1600s, where one Wikipedia says they were born in March, another one says April, so that kind of technicality. And then others have been, like we were having one coming up in August, and the woman I just mentioned before wants to discuss notability, because there's a lot of issues. Somebody got very upset about a very niche poet being deleted, and the guy said, well, he doesn't get that much library support. He's, a very, very tiny person. And I heard Sweden says, you publish 2 books, you're notable. And this guy has published many things, but it's such an obscure thing that one administrator said no. And she's upset as a person. I mean, she's doing edits, but she's kind of an advocate like the Swedish embassy woman was. And she's upset that this great initiative called Wikipedia is being met with this negativity and this aggressive deletion kind of thing. And I think that's wonderful. It's coming from outside Wikipedia in a way, that somebody says, we've got to look at the notability things, because if somebody's being in there being nasty, what do we do about it? So this is a GLAM Wiki initiative that's really strong, really successful, has an active Facebook page, because then people come in and said, oh, I found this painting, and what about this? All sorts of questions. So the general public feels more comfortable on Facebook, which everyone uses, but then they go in and do the stuff on Wikipedia, and that's been really quite successful. And we realized that if we don't have enough strength for a lot of activities, we'll put it into this GLAM thing, because that's good stuff.
Yeah, and I especially the point about notability, because I've noticed that myself, and that was my own experience when I started editing, that for a lot of people, popular culture is kind of the way into Wikipedia. So, but that's also the point where, in my experience and somebody that I talked to, is that that's also the place where the notability issue is very present, because it's much more, you know, nicer to have a published poet than a rapper. And I think that's a real big problem, because popular culture is the articles that most read and most people are most up to date about. Yeah. Thank you. And the last question is kind of dreamy. It has the word dream in it. And I wonder how a dream collaboration looks like to you, in terms of who you want to collaborate with and what's the topic would be. Anybody have a dream? Yeah.
Well, I dream of mixing source production, basic knowledge productions, and Wikimedia valorization together. As for very interesting women, we've got a huge lack of sources, as they are erased from history, basically. So one of my dreams is having an academic productions in the same space or just near Wikimedia volunteers, and see how we could have all this the chain of production of knowledge very integrated.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I hope it comes true for you one day. Anybody else? Anything you've thought of?
For example, as a Wiki user group, we collaborated with some female association, but we saw that they are considered not neutral sources. So the things, the sites about made by women association, or all these stuffs are considered not neutrals, not a third part, so are not considered as reliable resources. So we found a trick. With one, excuse me, with one site, we put it as a property on Wikidata. So it appears as a link, external link on the final session of external links. So this is considered in this moment a reliable resources. So we can do, everybody could do this.
Thank you. Lastly, I want to show you a little bit of what ending up being my dream collaboration project, because I was lucky enough to get to play a small part in a collaboration between Wikimedia Norway, Wikimedia Armenia, and the National Archives of Norway, with funding from the Norwegian Arts Council. And the goal of the project was to digitalize, transcript, and translate the image and letter collection of the Norwegian missionary, nurse, and midwife Bodil Biørn. She was active in Armenian areas in the Ottoman Empire before, during, and after the genocide of the Armenians. The project aimed at highlighting a woman's perspective in history and her documentation of the lives of children and women. The ambition of this project is also to help reduce the gender gap in history writing in general, and particularly on Wikipedia, by making these collections available digitally. Bodil Biørn, she was born in 1871 into a wealthy family, but instead of living up in peaceful Norway, she had a calling to help those in need. And in 1905, after studying nursing, she was sent by the Women Missionary Organization to the Ottoman Empire, and there she worked as a missionary and nurse. In cooperation with German missionaries, she opened schools, orphanages, and a clinic, housing widows and orphans. She was a witness of the Armenian genocides, and along with her colleagues, she saved the lives of many homeless women and children. She also documented the tragic events she witnessed, through her testimonial diary, letters, and her photography. And it's these photographs and letters that has now been shared on Wikimedia Commons, and the text is now being made available on Wikisource. So I just want to show you a few pictures. Here she is on her favorite horse. She was a very good rider. And here she is in her outpatient clinic with her assistant Ruben. And here she is with some of the teachers and the students at an all-girls school. A selection of these photographs have also been published in a tri-language publications called In the Footsteps of Bodil Biørn, From Norway to Armenia. The book was created by David Saryan from Wikimedia Armenia. And through this project, Bodil Biørn, a woman who was nearly forgotten by history, is now getting the recognition she deserves. And her life, her work, and her sacrifices will forever be well documented on the wiki-projects.
One additional things about, you talk about notability. We are here with Astrid. We wrote some recommendation about changing the licenses related to notability. So please discuss with us, send us email, comment on the meetup page, do everything we need to hear your voice. So please, please disagree too, but in a sane manner.
Where is this meetup page, or where is
I need to check where, because we have a lot of, so we can find this and put it in a